chaos this morning. It looks like we're up. There's leaves interfering with the rocket launch this morning. That's a keg of beer in the left-hand corner. That's from the oyster restaurant next door. Sorry to be 30 seconds late this morning. I almost didn't make it. The cameras didn't want to communicate, you know. The two cameras are here, and because I'm using the same video box, the computer really gets confused by which one is which. They're the same maker, whatever. Excuse me, but this is late breakfast here. Okay. Things have been progressing. Things have been progressing really, really well. Microphone set up. Just a minute. Yeah, that's quite possible. The microphone is on the floor or something. 1 second. Yes, hang on a second. Oh, it's on the floor. Look at that. Excuse me a minute. If something can possibly get tangled up, there's a law of nature with cords, Dishel. Here it comes. If it is physically possible to become tangled up, it will become tangled up. Okay, is that better? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, there we have it. Okay, sorry. Okay. All right, questions. It's an empty keg of beer. Well, it could be an empty keg of beer or not. I don't know, that's the way they've changed. They put the empty one out at late at night when they finish, and before they open in the morning again, the beer company has exchanged it. So I don't know if the truck has been there already during the night and exchanged it, or if they're going to come this morning before the restaurant opens and change it. I don't know. It's cool here, you know. Nobody is going to steal such a thing as a keg of beer from out front of that restaurant. We could ping it and see it. It's probably empty, but I really don't know. How's the pool? The pool is going well. I know the timing, there's a story, whatever. Let's, later, let me get started working first. The bath. There's a glorious, not only in Japan, but anyway, there's a glorious in Japan story about the bath, but let me get to it. First, an update. As you saw in the other day, we did finish the key block. We pulled, where were we? I don't even know how much I have to update you on. We pulled transfer sheets, and I was planning what to do and where to do it and how many blocks it would need. And I think this was on the stream on Monday, I guess. And I did a rough workout that we could do it with 4 pieces of wood both sides. Some places got a little close and stuff like this, but it looked like it was doable rather than going to 5 pieces of wood. So I went ahead later that day and over the next couple of days, pulled the proper transfer sheets, colored them in properly. There are 5 of them here. 3 of them are already pasted down. I'll show you those in a minute. But to give an update, this is what they look like. We didn't solve the sun, neither did I. We've left that pending. And the sun is going to have to go, for example, on a block like this, which is sort of technically too close to the other one, but that's the only way it's going to have to go. These are what the sheets look like. You can see this is the sheet that's for the base tone of the 2 creatures on top. The black lines you're seeing are printed from the key block, and the colors you see, I colored them in just the other day with one of our new markers, courtesy the lady in the stream here. They're working very well. So this is the block for the woody color. And it's also going to be used to do the berries on that print. The other 4 at the moment are holding in reserve. It won't be the wood here for this, that's a different block. Next one up, this is going to be the gray shadow type block. And you can see there's going to be a shadow in the water. It's pretty clear what's going on. There's a shadow on the fish in some areas here. There's gray areas here and there. And this is also going to be a block for things like the footsteps in the snow, and maybe for the whiskers. Next one up is the green. The green is a base tone, and in one place it's going to be stripes. And of course here and there on the greenery there's green. In the pine needles, the ground here, pine needles again. And there are some leaves here. And what I've done here, I needed information that wasn't on the key block. So I've gone back to the original. I made a printout of the real print at the real size, and on my little light table here, otherwise known as an iPad, I traced it and then pasted another piece of Gampi over top. Then this was the color that's going to be used. It'll print the umbrella, and the color that will make up on top of the previous woody color to make the fox color. And maybe the sun will be here, I don't know. There are more little berries here and there with the same color. Then this will be the background. There's going to be a gradation coming up on the background, a gradation inside the water. Here I've got a question mark again. Maybe the sun is going there. I don't know. We're going to fit that in anywhere we can do it. There's an interesting point to bring up here. I didn't realize it, but if we can change the subject for a minute here. As you know, these are Gampi thin paper laminated to a denser sheet. They get pasted face down on the block. The dense sheet is pulled off. In the old days, they didn't use the backing sheet. They just used the Gampi paper by itself. I'm having a discussion at the moment with a couple of curators from an institution that doesn't at the moment want to be named until the project is all up and running, I guess. And they are in possession of some old things that look like hansta, but they thought perhaps they're not hansta because here and there on them there are small pieces of Gampi pasted on. And it looks like this would interfere. You couldn't use that for carving. And actually that tells me that those are hansta, because this is exactly how you do it. If I wanted to change something here, I can paste a new piece of Gampi on top of this, ignoring the old one. And when you paste it down on the block, it's only the top one that gets the glue. So this little piece here where I've pasted on a little extra piece of Gampi, what's underneath it is irrelevant because it will never hit the wood. Only the top piece gets glued to the wood, the rest gets pulled away. So there we have it. There's 5 of them. As I said, there's going to be 8 altogether. 2 of them are finished yesterday. I pasted them down and finished it. This is the background inside the water. This also is the water and the background. And these 3 are flat blocks that are going to be used for gradations coming down from the sky. We're going to do the sky gradations and the ground gradations on different blocks. The ground gradations are where? Oh, here they are. So this is going to be the one for the ground gradations, and that's the water gradations, and that's the block for the sky gradations. Anyway, enough talk. Let's do some carving, talk all day long. And for those of you who didn't see it, this is a printout from the key block. This is how the lines actually came out in practice. I don't know if we showed it the other day or not. This is not Jed's design. This is now a woodblock print from the key lines. And actually I've done some adjustments since then. The eyes are a little bit too big. I've trimmed back the eyes a little bit. I think we did show this the other day. It's okay. This is the key block. All right, let's get busy. Carving. Today and the next couple of streams almost certainly are going to be color block carving. Excuse me again. Not polite drinking like that in public, sorry, but I am ready for it. So someone's saying that we can cover the sun with a metal spoon. There are ways around it, but it just takes printer time. We're going to print a whole lot of these things, and we want to make the job for the printers as smooth and as easy as possible. And any barrier you put in the way, or we say, well, you can split that into two blocks, that's okay. But by splitting into 2 blocks, you mean every 1,000 copies you make of this thing, it's going to take 2,000 times to print that instead of 1. Paper out, yes, the paper is out. There's just one printer today. We had 4 on Monday, 3 yesterday. It's random. Today it's just Ayumisa. And she's going back into our catalogue and she's printing the old Horses on Snow print. She wanted an easy one she could fit in just in 1 week's work. Okay. No other questions? Let's get this. Oh, somebody's mentioned an institution name. Don't know. The secrecy has nothing to do with me. Institutions are what they are. They have plans that happen and plans that don't happen, and to avoid, whatever. The correspondence back and forth at the moment has all been stamped, not for public distribution, and that's okay. I don't mind about that. But we'll see. We'll see as it goes. Okay, let me get the location picked up here. Where are we carving? We're on this. We're on this one right here. Hang on a sec. Let me get the location sorted out. I am liking the new camera. I took some video with it the other day. When we're ready to open up this series to the public, we'll need some nice video. So I've been using this camera to take a bunch of video. So it's looking good. I'm very happy with the setup. The outside camera has a wider field of view now. The inside camera, I can't imagine any clearer than this. We could do 4K, but that's not really practical possible. So I was asking, why is it bad manners? I know, to sit there on your own little show with people watching and sit and drink coffee, to me that's bad manners. I know I shouldn't be doing that. I'm sorry. I don't know. If you're not bothered about it, we're okay, because I really need that little drink right now. But the Beach Boys project. Oh my God. The Beach Boys project, as it's being called, it's fully go 100% from the other side. We're clear to go from the other side. My problem is resources, carvers and printers, and personal time. My problem is resources. So I don't know what to say. They are waiting. I guess what we're going to be doing actually is getting the thing signed, and then I'll just have to tell them I cannot start this just yet. I really cannot start this. Let me do some work here. The Beach Boys project. I would so much love to get that going. That is going to just explode things, but it's nothing like it's a good news situation. Our business here over the last year and a half since Corona started, things here have just exploded, and it just does not stop. And the problem is resources. There's now, I can't say infinite demand, but there's massive demand for the things that we do. And everybody here is just on overdrive. And especially the guy at the top here, me. And it sounds a bit maybe not so polite or something to say so, but I'm really, really, really looking forward to January, February, when, because of the seasonal fluctuations, things slow down here. The next month is going to be chaos getting this subscription project up and running. But once the gift season thing is finished, I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. I just hope it happens this year. Then there is a problem with this subscription project. This is now the second week of December. And normally, carving on the first subscription print, printing on the first one starts the first week of November. And I am now 5 weeks late, and I am just starting the color blocks. So there's no way that we are going to make the January 1st deadline for this. The first print of the year, even the first print, is going to be late. So I think when I make the video next week announcing the project, I'm just going to have to be contrite about it and tell people what's going on and say, you can sign up in January, please. And we're going to try and keep it on a monthly schedule, but we cannot deliver at the beginning. I don't know what to do. We'll see. We'll sort it out. Some of the staff here is saying there's an easy way around it, Dave. I know, if we switch to the Japanese calendar schedule of starting things. I know the Japanese things start in April, not the January. People start the school year, they start jobs, everything starts in April. And there's a thought that we should perhaps do that. Where am I? Just a second. No, it doesn't go there. It comes down. So that is one idea, but I do not want to give up. I don't get why Dave doesn't send the color blocks to another carver. We're all busy. We're all busy. Yes, because we're doing 2 prints at once here, this is actually going to help with the schedule. And this is why I'm not sort of giving up on this. If I can get this out into the printers, then they will actually get caught up on it. And as long as I get started on the 3-4 combination, or number 3, whatever it is we're going to be doing, then yes, we can catch up. And that's sort of why I'm holding on to that idea that I will be able to get back on schedule. Anyway, enough of that stuff. Enough of that. Let's just make some prints. The block we're carving here right now, this is the brown block. It's the brown, so it's going to make the deep brown on top of the fox's ears, on top of the cat's ears. It makes a little tiger stripy pattern on the cat, again on the fox. Stripy pattern, bit tip of the tail. And then on this one, on the clothing, the cat is wearing a green piece of clothing with pattern on it. And the pattern here is made of cut out stripes. Did we have the, let me see if I can pop it up. We do still have it here. If I pop this up for a second, if we look at the print number 4, there it is. If we look at the print number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over there, the cat has a green based clothing with brown pattern on top, and this is the brown block. So what I'm doing first, I'm cutting the full pattern of the kimono, and then I will cut out the grid pattern that you see so that the green will show through. This one, the fox's cloth, has 0. It's white, but it has brown stripes horizontally. Then this one, the cat's kimono here, can we get it to the same angle? Here we are, this one. You can see it's both. I'm cutting the brown block now, so on the sleeves of the kimono, I will cut the full shape, then cut out the stripes, and here I will leave the stripes, because Jed's called for brown stripes on the kimono. And then the shoes, and then up in the middle of the umbrella. So you can sort of see how it matches. So I got to keep reminding myself what I'm doing. This is the brown block, and what is positive and what is negative have to be. Interesting, somebody's mentioning Sherlock Holmes. What Jed tried to do, and he and I chatted about this, he said he wanted to give it a Taisho era feeling, like in Japan, 1920s feeling in Japan. The men are sort of strolling around wearing bowler hats and stuff, you know. So he did really try to give it a retro mood in that sense, and I think he caught it. The sage green color absolutely matches that era as well. I mean, none of this is random. It's all carefully designed and carefully planned, and Jed had a specific mood he wanted to put in, and I think he's got it, assuming our printers can pick up on that and catch it. So this is, as I said, it's going to be, this is the brown block, and we need the white stripes. So these, let me clear it out so we can see what's going on. yeah, it has to go on the tail as well. Just a sec here. Excuse me. I'm almost off view. Am I okay? I'm off camera. Is there questions I'm missing? I don't know. I have no idea. Hi. Today, at the end of the stream here, we will have a show and tell, and it's a bit of a mixed bag today. We have the fourth and final group of those old Hiroshige prints that I got in that auction a few weeks ago. And this one will be the one that's, it'll be the most disappointing. I was not so, I opened the good stuff first. We had those 4 sets, and I really wanted to see the good stuff, so I opened the good stuff first. Sort of broke my normal personal rule, you know. The personal rule is I try and remember the marshmallow thing, blah, 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 and put the good one aside and get rid of the stuff you don't want to do first, and then enjoy the reward at the end, you know. So normally I try and stick to that sort of rule, but I didn't do it this time. So the fourth of those Hiroshige sets is almost certainly going to be not so interesting, but it's fine because I have 2 other items today to look at, so we're okay. And yesterday we got, what was it, 4 packages arrived yesterday from dealers / auctions. Some of it was stuff from Yahoo Auction, and some of it was items we procured somewhere else. And whatnot, I was really happy. 4 packages arrived yesterday, and she's like, it's like Christmas for her, you know. She opens them up and wants to see how, you know, what we're going to be in the shop and the stuff. And for her, it's always a little bit of what's the word? She's worried about one thing. We open up this stuff, and she knows Dave is sitting there thinking, I want this for our collection, you know, because it's unique, or it's a good example of the 20th century printmaking or something like this, you know. And yet she wants it to help make our flea market look more interesting, you know. So, but yesterday we got one. We opened it up. It's so different. And I hadn't told her, but I already had this complete set upstairs in the collection. So I myself had no like acquisitive interest in this particular package. But whatever, so we opened this thing up, you know. And she's going through it. And the other part for her is when she gets these sets, or when we get these sets, she also would really like to have a good selection of full sets of things in our flea market. And yet it's really, really rare for us to receive these old sets in the kind of condition that we can do that. You have to have all the prints present. They've got to be all in good condition, you know, and it's almost never. There's one or two missing because people put them in frames and they didn't get restored, or the back one in the package, it's been stuck against the wall and it's foxed and mildewed. It's really rare for her to get a full set that we can put into the market cleanly and safely, you know. So what she's been doing recently is some of the sets come, they were maybe quite common in the 50s and 60s, so we get the thing again and again and again. So she has started to mix and match. And she did that yesterday. We got a partial Tokaido set yesterday. Many of them, 10 of them or so, were hugely foxed and unusable. But a bunch of them were nice and clean, and she is assembling sets, like throwing away the foxed ones and putting it, mixing and matching to make full sets. So she was really happy yesterday. She was able to make up a full Tokaido set. She'll probably get it into the catalog later this week. And then that other set that I was talking about, the Adachi set, I have it upstairs, so she is free to use it, but unfortunately the set had 3 or 4 or 5 were no good. So she's going to have to break it up and put them out into the world one by one. You know. But her eyes are bright. She's probably listening to this. Be careful, I guess. Her eyes are bright. She's having fun doing this. And, you know. So again, to recap, here's what we're doing. This is a brown block, and the kimono space here, I've just carved the whole thing first, and if we just printed it, it would be brown, but we've cut out some lines here. So this will be printed on top of another one, which is green. So the base tone will be the sage green, and this brown will go on top, but the places that I'm cutting out here, the green will show underneath, will show from underneath. So you can do patterns like this, positive or negative. All the pigments we're using are transparent, so the green will show over the whole thing, and especially where I've cut it out. And then the one right next to it, the stripes here will be a positive pattern on top of a white background. It is showing clear. Look at that. My God. I am very, very happy. Questions. Wow. I know when printing colors, what determines the order in which you print them? There's many factors. There's no specific rule. You'll see it recorded all the time. Yep, start with light, go to dark. Start with light, start with dark, go to light. I know, blah, blah, blah. No, there's a million factors. Most of the pigments we use, with one strong exception, or two strong exceptions, most of the pigments we use are done in a transparent form. So the easy, quick answer to which order, it actually usually, in that sense, doesn't matter. This green and this brown, for example, we have the idea that it's a green base with brown on top, because that's the way it sort of looks. But if we printed the brown first, then the green, and then another sample with the green first and then the brown, almost certainly you would not be able to tell the difference. We used to do that in the old print party where we printed the Momotaro print. People would ask us this, and at the break time I would do a quick run of the two of them, and you could not see the difference from one to the other. And that Momotaro print had all possible color combinations on top of it. The exceptions are black and white. We rarely use white pigment, a gofun, and it's opaque. So it goes on top last and it blocks out stuff underneath it. The black we use, the key lines, are also opaque, but they don't have to go on last to block everything out. They actually usually go on first. And because they are so strong and opaque, and the colors we use are more like tints and transparent, it doesn't matter. The black lines will show through right to the end, even though colors have been printed on and around and over and among the black lines. So in that sense, because of the transparency, the order generally doesn't matter. Then when the printer is going to get to this print and do it, what's the order decision then? What comes more into play is moisture. It's going to be hard to explain with a little tiny print like this where everything is just little bits here and there. But if you imagine a print with a big wide sky and then a big sea in the middle and then a big ground or something at the bottom. So there was 3 zones, A and B and C. And then there was something else in the middle, whatever. You would never print sequentially something that's going to be in the same area. You wouldn't print the sea and then the boat because the paper would get too much moisture in that middle area and the sky and ground would tend to get dry. So what you might do is you could print the sky first, and then because the paper on the other side was getting dry, you'd then print the ground first to try and keep the moisture in the paper as balanced as much as you can. Then also there's wide areas and tiny areas. And if you printed too many tiny areas, one after the other, that's not adding much moisture to the paper. So the paper tends to dry out more. When you're printing a big wide sky, you're adding moisture to the paper, and it sometimes gets too much. So you would then, as the next color, you'd do something small and tiny to try and help keep the moisture at the same level throughout the process. So it's location on the paper, it's area, volume of area, it's color tinting. There's a bunch of different factors that go into this. So absolutely no one rule. The printer will sit, look at the set of blocks, get their paper ready, then say, how should we best do this? There's also another factor very much that we have to keep in mind. If you, how can I describe this? Yeah, imagine, for example, then there's a print that's, say, bottom heavy. It's ground and buildings and people and all kinds of stuff. And then there's a pale color in the sky. If you start by printing the pale color in the sky, you've got your color, you're looking at it, you're looking at your sample, and the ground area is white still because you haven't printed anything down there. So you look at the sky, you look at the sample, you look at the sky, you think, okay, that's about the same depth. Okay, that's good to go. Almost certainly no, you're going to be too light because in the finished print, the sky will be next to something dark and deep and it will look different to the brain. So what you have to do is, then to get the sky right, you put the dark and deep stuff in first, then put the sky in, and now it balances against the deep stuff. You're not fooling your brain anymore. So we've all learned over the years as practicing this, when you're putting in light colors and later there will be dark colors near them, you have to keep in mind that it's going to look very, very different. So I don't know, are there any more factors? I really don't know. If the longer I think about it, the more factors I can think about, I'm sure. There is no set order of printing, a rule that I can say, here, do this in Japanese ukiyo-e type printing. It doesn't work like that. Another factor, think about it. If you're doing those Hashiguchi Goyo prints we have here occasionally in the store, it's a big, beautiful bijinga, kimono patterns everywhere, a delicate face, a blush on the face, some eyebrows, whatever, black hair. There's no way the printer is going to do all the kimono patterns first. 15, 20, 30 blocks kimono patterns. Then let's do the face to get the eyeball. Oop! Oh, it's a little bit off. And you've wasted your hours of time doing the patterns. So on a print like that, you do the critical stuff. Key block, get the eyes, makeup, face. We're good to go. She's beautiful. Now add the kimono colors. And you would have culled maybe 10% of your copies where the eye was a little bit off or something. So that's another factor. Critical, delicate stuff first. The basic work can follow later on at no risk. Excuse me again. It's getting cool, isn't it? So saying moisture control can be complicated. That's it. The key. This is moisture control. The ideal is once you've got your paper moistened for the printing, It's at the same moisture level exactly all the way to the end of the process. Otherwise it shrinks and expands and your registration is toast. Compositor on films, you deal with it. I guess so. I guess there's nothing perhaps unique here. Your brain works different ways when dark colors are next to light colors. And you can't do your color balancing with just a light color. You have to have everything in place. Excuse me, outside. Is she going to spray water? No, he's not. The normal way to do that is your dog does the pee, you've got a little bottle of water, and you spray and you dilute it. This guy, was it a guy? Is not actually following the common rule here. So let's talk about pulling or pushing. I have no experience with pushing. I can't possibly understand how anybody can do that. I don't know. I can't really explain this well. Someone's asking me in the chat here. You're seeing me, let's use an area that I won't be carving here. You're seeing me pull the knife towards me. I'm doing it under my nose here. The classical method is still pulling towards you. You do it overhand like this. You cut, the knife is the wrong handed for this, but you would cut over your hand like this. There are people in the 20th century who do something like, and I don't really know how it works, they put the knife in something like this and they push with their thumb and push it up. And I don't know, I can't even see where I'm going, so I don't know what to say. It's not anything like the traditional way. I'm not going to say don't do it. If it works, if that's how you can control it, fine, that's up to you. The key, whether you're going up or down, the key point is that the flat side of the blade, this side, the flat side of the blade has to stay as much as possible against the wood to be retained. You can see here, the flat side of the blade is on that line, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's pushing up. The bevel is pushing up the wood, so the line is left alone, and all the stress, if possible, goes into this part, which will be, of course, taken away and thrown away. And that will leave you with a clean line. Now, I'm a lefty, I'm carving in front. If I was carving the proper way with my left hand, I would need a knife of the other thing. At the moment, I can't do it this way because this puts the bevel on the line, and this is hugely, hugely stressing the line. So as a lefty, if I was carving in the classical method, I would need a left-handed blade. What I'm using here is a right-handed blade. And if we try and mock it up, if I hold it in my right hand for a second, I don't think I can do this. If I hold it in my right hand, carve over the back, now you can see, I can't do this, I'm left-handed. Now you can see the flat side would stay on the line. Here's a nice demonstration. So this is the classical, that's a right hand system. And because I'm a lefty doing it under my nose, not the traditional method, I need a right-handed knife. Every now and then we get into that, and it's kind of confusing. Whatever. Pushing, I really don't know. I'm sorry. If you can handle it, go for it. I know, the finished print, whatever. The fact that I'm carving the wrong way, the finished prints actually are turning out okay. So there's different routes to get to a goal. I think part of this is there's this thing that they tell kids, when you're cutting with a knife, cut away from you, don't cut towards you. And if you're whittling a piece of wood, I guess this makes a lot of sense. You whittle, chop away. You don't whittle towards your thumb. You're going to destroy yourself. So there is that sort of general rule in the air that they tell people, never cut towards yourself. And I get it. But in our world here, again, I've got the knife here, and my finger is supporting it, and nothing is freehand. That knife can't possibly cut. It can't possibly cut into my skin here. It's totally and absolutely supported. There's nothing freehand. My left hand is on the wood. My right hand is on the wood. These two things match together. And I'm just cutting a few millimeters at a time. Over the hand, same thing. My right finger is supporting it. So nobody here is worried about cutting towards yourself. Be careful, you're going to die. It's just not like that. So. This one again, this is going to be positive and negative, so I've got to be careful I don't confuse myself. The sleeve areas, the pattern has to be cut out, and in the middle area, the pattern has to be left. Which is which? That's the sleeve. Where does the sleeve end? The sleeve must end right there. Yeah, okay, that's sleeve. And then this is going to be the pattern. Okay, let's get this out of here. In the chat there, I've been looking at it back and forth for a few minutes. I see lots and lots of names that I don't recognize. Are there lots of new people here, it seems? I don't know. People that are learning about this, where did you learn about it? How did you learn about this Twitch stream? You know, every day there's new people. You know, I don't know where they're coming from. We have mixed feelings about this. Happy to see new faces. Happy to have people watching the work here. I am a little bit nervous. I did not want this thing to explode. If we had like 10,000 people watching this, it's going to be not so much fun and not so interesting. So I have mixed feelings about this. You know. Happy to see you. Not happy to see you. Whatever can I say that? I think we're a little bit off camera. Something's moving. I think the camera is moving, or I keep banging the tripod or something. I don't know. I'm in the recommended channels. Am I for somebody? I don't know. No idea. YouTube ASMR algorithm. I got an email today from, this is worth passing on, I guess. I don't remember exactly. Hang on a sec. If I get back to my mail, there's a series of emails back and forth have come in from, I think this is not secret. I think I can talk about this. Hang on a sec. I don't think it's secret. There's a place in London called the Design Museum. And they're having an exhibition starting soon called Weird Sensation Feels Good. And I think it's a borrowed exhibition. It's something that a Swedish group did last year. It's an exhibition about the ASMR, remind me, which is ASMR. I can't remember what it is. It's not here. Oh, ASMR. So they're having an exhibition about this. And I really don't have actually all that much interest in this. But they want to use one of my videos. The old video about remembering a carver. The group in Sweden seemed to think this was a real strong trigger for this kind of stuff. So they asked if they could use my video in their exhibition hall. There was like things on display on the walls, and there was video stations and headphones, and you could sit there, and they thought this was a good example of what they called unintentional ASMR, meaning I didn't plan this, but that's the way they did it. So that means that exhibition wrapped up last year, 2 years ago. Now the exhibition is moving to London, and they're doing it in London. And they've sent me the forms, please let us use your video and all that kind of stuff. So that's going on. So that's another way that people seem to get to us. And that one, I really don't get it. But there seems to be something out there. So who am I to complain and whatever. And we do get this comment on the video, on YouTube videos all the time. It says, came for the ASMR, stayed for the woodblock printmaking. So I guess that's fine by me, then I'm happy with that, you know. Whatever reason makes you come in the door, if it turns out if you like the stuff that you find in here, then that's cool. But I really don't get the ASMR thing, actually, so whatever. I'm going to be careful here because we've got confusion. That's the inner kimono, which has the positive pattern of stripes. This is the sleeve, which has the negative pattern, but also the umbrella shaft has to be included. So I got to be careful not to cut away stuff that doesn't need to be cut away. Last thing I want to do is start repairs here. The other day when we were planning these colors on the stream, I went back to read the chat later, and there's all kinds of people, don't forget the shoes, look at the ear, don't forget this tip of the tail, you know. And I did. I really carefully went through all this stuff, over every square inch of this stuff, trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. And yet, if I go by statistics, almost certainly there will be places that I have forgotten. We'll see how it goes. with prints that are this detailed and complex, it's almost certainly that I will have forgotten or misplaced something. Oh, I know what I forgot. The outside sound. We fixed this the other day. I know the outside camera has audio. The moment it's turned off, I'm sorry. Hearing that vacuum cleaner reminds me. If I put up a little bit outside audio, I mean, we don't want the vacuum cleaner at the moment, but give me some feedback on this as time goes by. When she finishes her vacuuming, I had the audio turned off outside. I'm sorry. Your cat loves the outside camera. I don't know. We get requests, the day when you finish the stream, turn it off and go do your work, but leave the outside camera on. And I don't think I can do this. There is a privacy issue here. We are actually pushing what is probably technically legally allowed here in Japan by doing this. So, so far so good. Nobody has tried to shut this down. But I have to be careful with it, just having it run like this as a side corner and nobody's really noticing, that's okay. But I cannot start running a live Asakusa cam at ground level like this. Absolutely not. There are a few more here and there in Asakusa or somewhere around Tokyo, but they are up on the rooftop and you can't see individual people. So no, I can't really run a street cam here as a thing, I'm sorry. There she goes, she's finished. That must be one powerful vacuum cleaner, I think. And for those of you who don't know, the truck that just pulled up, it's one of the local Oshibori restaurant towel rental companies. That's the pattern, isn't it? He pulls his truck up and he parks there. And he does something on his phone for a few minutes first before he gets out and starts work. So he's maybe checking the quantities or something. Will there be show and tell? Yes, there'll be a show and tell starting in 25 minutes from now. When I'm working with small prints like this, is the smudging, bleeding of the highlighter not an issue for accuracy? Yes, of course. What I did here, of course, you can see those black lines here are the black lines I'm going to carve. I just splashed highlighter on so that I would notice them. I'm not going to follow the purple here. I'm going to follow the black line. Absolutely. The purple is more a hint from me. In some areas, over here, for example, look at this. When I put the highlighter on, when the tree area was large, I could pretty much follow the boundary of the tree with the highlighter, so I can just follow the orange. But the highlighter isn't all that delicate, so down here, Look at this, where am I here? So down here, the highlighter came over the edge. So it's okay, I'm not a robot. I'm not going to follow the highlight color. I'm going to follow the branch. So the highlighter, you know, it's the real thing, but it's also just a guide for me where we need to be doing this. Someplace it fills in nicely. This one too here. We're going to do branches underneath. I mean, the branches for the pine are on the key block. The needles are on the key block. But here on the brown block, I'm going to throw a brown tint in and around that branch. And I don't even know where it's going to go yet. And that's not something I could paint carefully with the highlighter. If I show you the original, if I can find it. Here's the original of this one. You can see, excuse me, they've just thrown some brown on top of the branches inside this. Look at this. It sticks out up top a little bit here. So it doesn't matter. For me, that highlighter just says, Dave, get in there and put something that looks like brown somewhere around those branches. So it's just a rough guide for me to do that. So sometimes it's critical. This one should do. The highlighter should copy. This is going to be the bird tone. This is the brown block we're doing now. So part of the birds is brown. But again, this one is dangerous to me. So dangerous because it's a mix. It's a negative and a positive, and it's so easy to lose the concentration for a second and chop out the wrong one. So if I make a mistake, I can blame it all on everybody else. It's also, too, that we're sort of lucky here in that the person doing the planning here and the person doing the carving is the same. If I was sending this one out to an outside carver, that's really, really difficult. Because like I've done the planning, as I said, the negative and positive. But this is going to an outside carver. How do I communicate that? I've got to sort of do it like this, then send it over to her, and then say, before you start cutting, give me a call and we'll talk about this. And then try and explain in words what I want. And that's really, really tough. We've had that problem with Kawasaki-san. She's okay. It's not that she's dumb or anything. Of course she knows what's going on. But if she's faced with this, she's like, what am I supposed to do? Because it's not easy to understand just from looking at the object itself. So here we are now. We've switched. This is negative. Let's switch to the positive. And these lines have to stay, and the area around them has to come out. Okay, now that the truck is gone and the vacuum cleaner is finished, how is our mic level outside? Is the ambient level okay? Or should the outside mic be up a bit or down a bit? With the previous setup, I had my notes. I knew what kind of decibel reading I needed on the monitor here, but I don't have it worked out yet for this new camera setup. Excuse me. So someone says it's okay. Let me know then. Let me know. Someone's asked me, is it true that the carvers of old didn't rotate the block when carving? We don't talk about that. Yes and no. yes and no, yes and no. Not just the carvers of old, carvers these days. The ultimate best goal would be if the block didn't get rotated for a few reasons. So every time you rotate it, you lose track of where you are. You take time rotating. You take time getting your orientation again. Like if I did this, if I was going to cut the back side of that, okay, I'm not working, I'm rotating. Where am I? Here we are, okay, there we are, we're going to cut this line. And basically, if you're super careless with it, your rotating and fooling around time becomes equal to your carving time. It's crazy. You've lost like half of your time rotating the block and moving around and moving around and moving around. So that's reason number one. The old guys wouldn't want to rotate. They just want to keep it going. I have to be careful because it's the real work, but yeah, a place that I'm not going to, let's find a junk area here. It won't be in this print here. The best way would be, here we are, cut this side of the line, cut a bit of waste here, cut the other side of the line. Now there's no stress in the wood, it's okay. And if you're good at this, if you've trained and practiced, you can sit here and do any kind of pattern. You can go round circles, and you can do it all without rotating the block. Look at this, I can do this. Wow, look at me, whippy. And this way, man, you can cover some ground. Holy moly, you can cover some ground. And this was the way it was done. These guys were fast. They'd zip through this block, chop, bang, chop, bang, chop, bang. And because they had practiced like this since they were a kid, they were good at this. Dave's problem, he came along here in the 1970s and early 1980s, and he didn't know anything about anything here. All Dave knew was that there's a line, there's a knife, let's try and cut this. So what I did was, I just took it the simplest, easiest way without knowing anything, grabbed a knife, a right-handed knife, started like this, there was a line, I'd cut the line, and then you got to cut the other side, so I turned the block around, and I'd cut the other side like that. So without knowing it, I fell into that awful habit of cutting only in one direction at a time and never developing any flexibility in my wrist. And I did this for like all through the 70s, all through the 80s. And by the time the light really dawned on me about how this actually worked in the old days, I'd had decades of practice, and now I'm 70 and like I'm going to go back and I can like sort of do it right now. I just played with this for a minute to show you how it worked. But if we printed this, the lines I just carved here are not going to be very nice, very attractive lines, because I haven't practiced on doing this. So for somebody just starting out, if you just want to make, prints and do interesting work and make stuff for yourself, and you're not going to be the world's greatest carver, then do what you want. Rotate the block is fine. But if you have the idea that you'd like to sort of really get into this and maybe really get good at this and then try carving maybe some old ukiyo-e or do stuff with very delicate fine lines with good taste, and you're going to keep it up for years and years and years, if that's your sort of goal, then absolutely start practicing this way without rotating the block. And if Taran-san's here today, then he would talk about this. The first thing his teacher gave him was some sheets of paper with like, okay, here you are, carve those lines, and then carve these lines, and then circles, and then triangles, and all kinds of stuff. And he had to do patterns without rotating the block. Or rotating it just a little bit like this, little bit like this, little bit like this. But it takes a long time to get good. It's tough. You draw a circle, you can do the whole circle without rotating the block. But you need Olympic level of flexibility in your wrist, which I don't have. So it's up to you. Up to you. Places like the fox in the bath where the color differences in the water aren't present in the key block, are you just winging it? No. This is not my picture. What I did for the shadows in the bath and stuff, here. I thought I had mentioned this. Here. What I did for the shadows in the bath, I went back to Jed's Photoshop. I printed out the pattern, at the same level of percentage that we had when I did the key block, and then I got my transfer from the key block. I put it on top of that, on top of my light table, and I traced Jed's pattern. Now, can I trace exactly, perfectly accurately? I traced Jed's pattern. I got a shadow in the water. Now, the obvious question is, why not just print out Jed's Photoshop thing on Gampi, paste it down, and go for it? And we can't do that. There's a massive, massive, massive problem in the way. Jed gave me the key lines. I printed them from Photoshop, and here we are. This is my printout of the carved lines. My lines now are not the same lines as the original Photoshop lines. There's inevitably differences. And over the years, I've learned that we can't do this. I can't print out the key lines, carve them, print out the color lines from Photoshop, carve them. It doesn't work. They don't match. Because inevitably, there's differences in the width of these lines. And if I print color block data from the Photoshop file, there's going to be places it overlaps, places it doesn't. That's why the big problem with these things is I have to now take Jed's Photoshop concepts and I have to integrate them into what we really did on the block from the key. Now, if the key block was being carved by lasers, the company that's doing that with lasers, they're okay. You tell your laser, carve the key, carve the color, carve the key, carve the color, carve the color. And it's the same data coming out at the same level of enlargement, whatever, and you're okay. But we cannot do that. The translation of the key block, the translation of the Photoshop lines in the key block to the real thing was an analog process, and in the process, all the lines have somehow, somewhere, somewhat changed. I cannot use the raw Photoshop data for the color blocks. Long answer, but that's the way it is. There's just no way around that. If it's not so critical, this is delicate. We're talking about, 0.1 millimeter, whatever. If it's not so critical, by all means, go for it. If you have something that doesn't have sharp lines or the overlaps are okay, print them all out from your master file on all your blocks, carve all your blocks, and then print it. But at the level of finesse, at the level of exactness that we need here, that's not possible. It's just not possible. My God, chat. Yes, somebody else. Chicken Meister's got another key here. This happens all the time. Would it be practical to carve the water lines on the key block, make the transfer to the color blocks, and then remove them from the key block? We do this all the time. The clean classic example I mentioned before, there's a sky, there's a sea, there's the ground. What you would do is you would put the horizon on the key block, and you would cut a horizon line on the key block. Then do your color transfers. We can see the horizon, cut your sky. You can see the horizon, cut your sea. But you don't want a black line there, so after you've done your proof printing, go back to the key, cut off the horizon line, and bingo, you have, if you've been careful, you have a perfect sky-sea match. So yes, that's called muda bori, waste carving. And I could have done that on this one. For example, these black lines, these lines for this brown kimono, I could have carved those on the key block. Then they would be here ready, and I wouldn't have to have transferred them from anything else. They would be on the key block. But give me a break. How much mudabori can you do by putting all the patterns on the key block? You're going to spend days and days and days and days carving this, and it's not necessary. So at the level we're doing this now, we do it for such things like that, the horizon or this or that. The print that Taran-san is just carved for us. He did, I think, exactly the same thing. He did a couple of mudabori lines here and there. There was the outline of Mount Fuji for the sky and the mountain to match. And then when it was finished, he cut away the unneeded lines. So yes, there we are. Now where am I? Oh, we've got the lady sweeping, did we? Because of the new wide-angle view. Let's quickly pop this up. Oh, she's gone already. I missed her. That's the lady from across the street, the bag lady. She was doing her sweeping job. I'll be doing my sweeping job at 9:31 as soon as I get out of here. The new wide-angle view, we catch her. Yeah, John's off today. I guess maybe you've already talked about it. We got an email from John. He's got to work. He's a freelance photographer specializing in architecture and real estate, stuff like that. And he got a call today. He had a job to do. In town or out of town, I don't know. So he booked off his work here today. People got to work. People got to do work. There's also a touch of trouble with the ninja people across the street. They've been having, they do their thing outside. The last little episode of all their ninja stuff, they do their training inside. Then they come outside, they meet the bad guy, and oh my God, they start doing their little acting. And there's been a lot of rain recently. So they've been like, what to do. They don't want to, mothers don't want their kids playing outside in the rain or stuff. So the ninja people, the other day, about a week ago or so, can we see it? There's an awning. Oh, there's the lady again too. Let's pop this up. We're supposed to be carving. Do you see the ninja place? There's an awning, a little black awning hanging out. Actually, they put up two of them. The one you're seeing here is on the left-hand side of the shop, and there was another one on the right-hand side of the shop. And this is not a real expensive, $10,000 built-in bolt and crank open awning. This is a little piece of plastic they bought from somewhere. And they put it up last week. It's one of those things where you turn the turnbuckle and it stretches and clamps itself between the top and the bottom. So they put this up last week, and me and one other said, look at this, that's going to last about like 3 days. It lasted about 3 days. There was a rain and a windstorm. It must have been, what was it? Monday night or something. And down it came. Oh, here's the boy. He's now trying to put it back together. The pieces were all over the sidewalk, and for a full day, people are tripping over the pieces back and forth. And this must be one of the ninja boys. He's got his ladder out there. He's trying to put this thing back together because the wind just ripped it all apart and put it down, and pieces rolled all over the floor. I went and collected some of the pieces and put them back so they wouldn't get lost. But the children in Japan made of sugar. Whatever, you don't want to do stuff in the rain. Sometimes it's really pouring rain, and they want to keep their event going on. So the boy's across there. He's trying to fix the awning. There he is. He's hanging it up. And she's sweeping. Lots of action today. Is it rain is a ninja's weakness? I don't know about that. They dissolve in the rain? I don't think so. Isn't that the Wizard of Oz? I don't remember what that's all about. So. No, they're just trying to be polite to their customers, keep them out of the rain, that's all. But it blew all over the place. It tore in one place, and there was little plastic parts rolled across the floor, So I found what I could and put them there, but I don't know. And then that was Monday night, and then they're off Tuesday and Wednesday. So the stuff has been just sitting out there for a couple of days, Oh, also, the movie thing, the Netflix thing, it's tonight. The big opening, the grand opening of Asakusa Kid. It opens on Netflix here in Japan this evening. And my God, they have spent an absolute fortune on promotion. They had, what's the word, famous people lined up. There were black cars with the window shades down. The media was all lined up on their special little ladders. There must have been, I don't know, 20, 30 media people on each side of this alley. There was no red carpet, but it was that kind of an event, That was 2 nights ago, and the movie starts playing today. And I think it's already on Netflix overseas. I don't know. It's called Asakusa Kid, and it's, what you call it, a semi-documentary, semi-movie about Beat Takeshi, how he got his beginnings here in this district. And an astonishing promotion. There's balloons flying in the sky here the other day. They had tethered balloons. All the local rickshaws all had special decorations on the normal covering of the rickshaws to keep the rain off. It's all been replaced with special Netflix stuff. They have gone to town on this one. I think Netflix is not as established here in Japan as perhaps in some other countries, because even talking with some of the staff members here, did you hear about the new Beat Takeshi thing on Netflix? You know, and they're like, what's Netflix? So there's still people here who don't actually know what that is. So maybe that's part of this. Netflix has grabbed onto this popular theme as part of their overall promotion for their platform. Dave has no specific interest. He has no such thing as a TV nor any interest in getting one. The last thing I want to do is start wasting hours a day watching stuff. Is it a dichotomy? There's those of us who make stuff and there's those of you who watch stuff. Is that how it works? I don't know. Maybe some people can do both. I don't know. I haven't done very well today. I was supposed to finish this cat here this morning here. Talk too much, I guess. I don't know, whatever. I suppose it's show and tell time now, is it? Seconds to show and tell time. Okay. Oh, I didn't zoom back in. Sorry about that. My apologies. Didn't zoom in. There they are. Almost done with this. It's okay. You can see, look at that in this camera. See the bright line there? What that is, the wood there has been squeezed upwards. So that because it's the flat side of the knife, because I carved here with the flat side of the knife, let me try and put it in there. Here, the flat side of the knife went on the line, and the angle and the pressure I'm doing, it pulls up the waste wood. And this is a perfect example. Flat side on the line. If you do what the Yoshida book shows and put the bevel on the line, all that stress that you see there, that thing that squeezed that wood upwards, all that stress goes into the carved line and bends it over and stresses it. And then later when you put water on to print it, the wood swells up and says, look at me, I'm fat. That Yoshida book, it led me wrong for 10 years. Don't want to talk about it. Okay, there we go. Show and tell. I am happy with the camera. And the lights. I'm being careful about the lights too. Look at this, lights. There's a light behind this. I have a massive, it's lights everywhere. We have, what do you call it? You know, a big, an umbrella here, down on the block. We have lights. It's the only way to do video. Okay, let's do the show and tell. Masks, masks everywhere. So there's masks. You got to have a mask at hand. While I'm here by myself, if someone comes in the door, bang, on she goes. Masks everywhere. Okay, show and tell. As I said, we have three things standing by. The first one is the fourth of those Hiroshige reproduction sets that we got on Yahoo Auction 2 weeks ago. There were four of them. One guy had 2 packages up and another guy had 2 packages up. And we looked at the first 2. They were really interesting. They were Taisho era reproductions of an unusual Tokaido set. This is a reproduction of the real Tokaido set. But, and he had it marked as woodblock prints, but I think almost certainly this is going to be a dog. This is not going to be woodblock prints. What's this? No idea. A cat dish. This is not what's inside here. Can you see it? It's a cat dish. It's a nomiyasui osara type. It's easy to drink dish type. The package is more interesting than the prints. What is this? I don't know. Some kind of cat feeder? The volume is 30% up. Goku Nomu. The cat can really, really drink. No idea. It's some kind of cat feeder. No idea. And we have something old. Let's have a look at this. He marked it as old woodblock prints. And as I said, don't hold your breath. Ooh, it's been around. It has been around. It's some kind of old set. Ha ha ha. It's the same thing. It's postcards with Tokaido designs. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's meant for foreigners. It's all in English. It's a map of the Tokaido line. Oop, oop, oop. Camera here. Fukuda Hobundo. That will help us date this if we have to figure out a date later on. It's the stations of the Tokaido. So this must have been a product that was aimed at the tourists of the day, whenever the day was. And, yep, give the bad news right up front. These are not wood block prints. Not at all. You can see it. You don't need me to advise you on this. Look, 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 look. This is not woodblock. This is some kind of offset printing of the day, litho. Let me have a look at this. Well, I can't see any dots. I don't see a screen tone. But they are not woodblock prints. It's all fuzzy, fuzzy, fuzzy. It's misregistered. Look at the colors. There's no way those colors would have been used in the old days. It's version 2. The Hiroshige Nihonbashi scene has version A and version B, and this is version B. So look at the colors here. Look at the purple. Okay, we're not going to spend much time with this. These are not woodblock prints. They are some early kind of mechanical process. I don't know what they are. I don't see a halftone screen. It looks almost like some of the color texturing looks like a mezzotint. I have no idea what they've done. No idea, no idea, no idea. Look at the colors. My God. If those of you who know what the real thing looks like, whatever. Okay, let's just put it away. No reason to spend time on it. It's a blobby mess. Insatsu. It cost me 2,000 yen. It could have been a treasure. It's actually junk. Doesn't matter. We'll throw it in a drawer. It is actually, there are people who are really interested in this. Early examples of Meiji Taisho printing technology. Like the Toppan Insatsu Museum has all kinds of stuff like this. So let's put this aside. No interest to us really today. Let's put it aside. We have something more interesting. Although, again, this may actually turn out to be the same thing. On the Yahoo auction, this guy was saying, woodblock print, original woodblock print, Edo era map. And looking at the photographs that were on the auction, I'm thinking, well, it's an Edo era map, but almost certainly the piece of paper we are looking at is not from the Edo era. The piece of paper we are looking at is something 20th century and reproducing an old map. So my question is, was it reproduced with woodblock or was it reproduced with offset printing? So this could be actually the same story as the one we've just seen. Number 3 in reserve is an actual woodblock print. So let's have a look. Could be, you know. Could be. Could be. It's not Edo, absolutely. But it could be a wood. No, wait, look at this. Okay, let's cut to the chase. Let's look at the back. No. Offset printing. Ah! Oh well, oh well, oh well. This is interesting in its own right, though. My God. It's creped paper. It's a map of Edo. And the original map would have been. There must be a date on here somewhere. I can't quite tell because this thing is. This thing is humongous. It's humongous. And if that had been woodblock, that would have been such a treasure, such a treasure. There must be a date on it somewhere. Just a second. Or there is a date, but it's in the old Edo terminology, so I don't know the year number. We'll look at it later. Okay, so what this is, it's somebody in the early 20th century. Maybe this is Taisho or early Showa. It's pre-war, you can tell from the paper. It's a pre-war company, and they have taken an old map from the old days, and they've reproduced it in offset. And in the old days, there's no way they can make a woodblock print that big. The old days, the original would have been made from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and all glued together and sold. This is hugely interesting to look at and to dig around and to study. But as a woodblock print, no. Let's just find one thing. Let's find the Asakusa area here. Where are we here? Here we are. Let's find our local area and then put this aside. Here we are. This is the Sumida River on the right-hand side here. This is going to be so much fun to look at and to study and see where the old rivers used to go and stuff like that. So the content for me is hugely interesting. But it's not really a woodblock print. There's the Sensoji Temple. With the area, and up here, look at this. You can see now how it used to work. Look at this, out here, nothing. It's farmland and marshes. There's the Sumida River. This is the Kandagawa, and people going to the Yoshiwara would take their little boat up the Kandagawa, up the Sumida, to a place called Imado, and they would walk up what's called the Nihon Tsutsumi, and there's the Yoshiwara, that square rectangular box. Ladies, you must stay inside that area. And that was the red light district for Edo. There was another one down at Shinagawa. And you can see, and it was literally at the edge of town. I don't know when the Yoshiwara started. People know the history. Wikipedia will tell you. But at the time they decided to do this, it's, okay, ladies, out you go. And they're going right to the out of town. There's a wall put up. You do your stuff in there. And people who want to go and meet you have to go all the way up and down. This is Sensoji Temple, entertainment district near it. Ueno Park doesn't exist, of course, back in the old days, but this is Shinobazu Ike with Benten in the middle of it. And this is the area that would later become Ueno Park. And this area would have been samurai houses, I guess. So hugely interesting. Nothing I can sort of detail show you right now. It's not, unfortunately, a woodblock print in itself, but it was a woodblock print when it was first made. That's going to be good fun. It's not rare at all. You can buy these reproductions. It's a real thing. Reproductions of old maps are a big, big deal here in Japan. They're on Yahoo auctions every day, and they're in all bookstores. So that content is not rare at all. That will have been reproduced many, many, many times. Okay, just want to close off then, and this is actually a woodblock print. We know what this is. I saw this the other day on the auction, and we don't have it in our collection, so we picked it up. And there's a fun fact on this one, and John's going to regret that he misses this because there's something cool about this one. The design you will know instantly once you see it. And we've already opened this. Watanabe-san and I opened this the other day because we had to get inside to send the seller a message. The original for this would be back in the, I have no idea, 1670s, somewhere around there. The design is attributed to Moronobu, Hishikawa Moronobu. We're looking at a woodblock print today, but the original of the design was not a woodblock print. This was created before color printmaking was invented. So the original of the object we're looking at was a scroll painting. Scroll painting or screen painting? Don't quote me. It was a painting. Perhaps it was on a screen somewhere, or perhaps it was a roll-up scroll. I don't know. The original was a painting. What we are seeing is a woodblock reproduction of it. And most of the main companies, Takamisawa, Adachi, Kyoto Hangain, they made reproductions of this during the heyday in the middle of the 20th century. The one we're looking at today, this is the reproduction of the scroll of the painting made by the Kyoto Hangain. And the date is Showa 40. Showa 40. So this thing is not as old as I am. I'm Showa 26. That's 1951. And this is Showa 40, which is 14 more years. So 51 plus 14, 1965. This was made in 1965 by a company called Kyoto Hangain, who actually had a big office in Tokyo. They may have started in Kyoto, but they were in Tokyo. And here we are, and they have done a nice job of this. If I start moving it around under the light, you can see what's going on. The original painting had gold leaf and maybe silver, I don't know, gold leaf applied to it. And these guys have done something very similar. This is smaller than the original painting. The original painting was quite large. This is smaller. And we have something here to show you. These guys put the craftsmen's names on the print. Got your socks tied on? Are your socks tied on tight? We have Kyoto Hangain, Shinagawa-ban. Shinagawa, it's an area in Tokyo. It was the name they used. I think they had a shop down there, and the name Shinagawa Editions. So it's the Kyoto Hangain is the company name, Shinagawa Editions. And then it's got two names here. The one on the left-hand side, which would come later, is the printer. And the printer is Ito, and I'm not sure the pronunciation of his first name there. That's only the first character of his first name. And the carver here is a gentleman called Harada. It says Kame. His name was actually Kametaro. Harada Kametaro is the carver of this. And some of you now know exactly what's going on here. The bench I'm using here today is Harada-san's bench. This print we just received here was carved on this bench. Welcome home. Welcome home. The print wasn't printed on this bench, but the block for this thing, which is who knows where it is, long gone, no idea. The block was carved on my bench. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't matter. But when I see this kind of stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool. You know, maybe I don't want to do any psychological. Let me lie on the bench and the doctors can analyze me here, whatever. But I'm a foreigner who's parachuted in, who's doing this stuff. I think I'm doing really nicely with this. I'm doing it, but I'm definitely an outsider. Absolutely. The other carvers and craftsmen, whatever, like Dave over there, he's doing his stuff and whatever. But to be part of this this helps me put me back in the chain here a little bit. I don't have any lack of confidence about this, so I'm not, but it does. It puts me a little bit back in the chain. Here I am carving my prints on the same bench that stuff like this was carved on. It doesn't matter, but it's good fun. Good fun. And the print, it's really nicely done. These guys have done a good job. And we have a date, as we said. It's unusual for us to be able to date this stuff. And for post-war productions, this one actually is kind of nice. This is the era now. This is Olympic time. What the men in Tokyo now, the few that are left, what they refer to as the boom, the ukiyo-e boom. And at the time of the first Olympics, the Japanese yen was still, I can't say worthless, but it was still very, very low in value compared to most world currencies. Because Japan was still, it had been climbing up out of the Reconstruction era. Japan was not the economic powerhouse that it shortly became just after this. And this is before the Plaza Accord, which changed all the money back and forth. The yen at this point was still, quote, worthless. It was funny money. So you could do things like this. You could pay your craftsmen what they needed to get their rice, and the selling price to the foreigners would bring you so much money, you're just rolling in dough. So the publishers were just killing it all through the 60s and moving into the 70s until the currency changed. They could sell them for a fortune, and it cost them next to nothing to make because the craftsmen were still living at the pre-level, you know. Not possible now, you know. Craftsmen now, they want a house and a TV set and all that stuff, you know, whatever. The things are different now. I don't know how many blocks. It's not all that many, stupendously number of blocks. This is not an undoable project, but it takes care. It took care and time, you know. This is historically significant because although this is not a woodblock print, this is one of the first artworks created in what came to be known as ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e, those of us Westerners and whatever, we first learned of the word ukiyo-e, we equated it with Japanese prints. And to us the word ukiyo-e equaled Japanese print. That's not true. Ukiyo was the philosophy, lifestyle. E means picture. And ukiyo-e, the first ones were paintings and scrolls and screens. And as I said, this is from the era before color printing even got thought about. But this is one of the prime early copies of what came to be the ukiyo-e genre. So this is, in the Japanese art world and art history, this is an extremely significant work of art. And that's why it was reproduced so many times for Japanese collectors and foreign collectors. You know, they must have sold like hotcakes. What do they put? They've put an edition number on this. Whether that's trustworthy or not, I don't know. This says number 230. And I think there were 300. It's number 230 of 300, but that's not trustworthy. Almost certainly you will find later copies with no numbers or whatever. So there we have it. There we have it. I see people are talking about frames dropping out. I don't know. No idea. Again, at this end, I have to report the same thing. I have green dashboard here. Someone says, Dave, would you consider doing prints that use mica powders like this? I've done exactly the same thing. I've reproduced not this scroll design, but I reproduced a different scroll design from the era, and I did it very much the same with the gold and silver. I've been here. I've done this. You know. If you look through the woodblock.com webpage, if you go to woodblock.com/scroll, you will see Dave has done something almost exactly like this. Okay, there we are. Good. We got finally something here, a nice thing on our show and tell instead of fake stuff. That'll do. Let's put the outside camera up. To finish off, it's now Thursday, 9:30. I will be back here 2 more days from now, Japan time, Saturday morning Japan time, Friday evening for most of you. And you know exactly what I am going to be doing. I am going to be carving these color blocks now for quite a long time to come. Or whatever, the next 3 or 4 streams at least. Outside's coming alive, and I'm going to get out there now and do my side of the street of those leaves. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Thanks for taking part. I'll see you I won't see you, but I'll hear from you in a couple of days. Thanks, and bye for now.